So how good is Eula nowadays in Genshin Impact? My man is about to absorb the power of Hydro. Ooh, I think he just had a hard HP lock because he just got detonated on my boy for over 800,000 damage from a Q alone. Today we're tackling Eula. How good is she? We have access from C0 all the way to C6 on this account, so I'm gonna be able to break down her constellations for you, the sort of power gain you gain from each of them, what it means for you, as well as the artifact selection that you're going over with Eula right now. Is there a new set coming out in 2.3? Spoilers, no. As well as weapon selection and team composition. So let's start with Eula. What is she? She's just a big bruiser, a meanie face when it comes to doing damage. You want to run some sort of superconduct team with her right now. As you can see, Zhongli, Eula, Albedo, Raiden, Shogun. Maybe you saw this in the Albedo video the other day. This is sort of the go-to for me right now. If you don't have access to Raiden, Shogun, another fantastic character or team here as well. You take the Shogun out or you leave the Shogun in and you add one of the other Electro characters like Beidou. Fantastic character. I call it the Claymore Queens team. You want to see that video, I'll probably have it linked in the description for you guys as well, which is a fantastic thing. Or even throw in the good old lovey dovey Fischl, wherever she is. Where is she? She's like level 90, isn't she? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Founder, also a very good character to proc superconduct. And then last but not least, you also have the Electro main character to help battery your good old Eula up on top of that. Now, you don't need necessarily just an Electro character in ×2 Geo. You also can pair her fantastically with Diona for the shields, and Diona is a magnificent source of energy to battery up your very powerful elemental burst, which does so much damage that it probably is like unnecessary to C6 this character. But man, if they ever add some big raid boss multiplayer content, we're gonna be looking for all the Eula C6 mains on Genshin Impact Reddits, Discords, YouTube communities. Come help one-shot the boss, let's get in here. Because that's what it's going to do. miHoYo can't make raid content because too many people apparently own Eula C6 who just roll in and destroy it, I guess. I don't know. Now, artifact selection for this character, you have two choices in my opinion, which yes, it's my YouTube video, so it's my opinion, go figure. 2 pieces physical damage here for the Pale Flame, and then the 4 piece is when an elemental skill hits an opponent, your attack is increased by 9%. You get 2 stacks of this, which is 18% attack, 9 plus 9, we can do it together. You are going to get a total of 50% physical damage. Now, the other setup you can do is 2 pieces of the Pale Flame, which is touched on, and 2 pieces of Bloodstain. 2 piece Bloodstain gives you 25% physical damage, so you're gonna have ease of use here. You're not gonna have to stack up that ×2 stack for the attack percent, 18%, as well as 50% physical. 2 piece Bloodstain, 2 piece of her good old Pale Flame will give you that 50%, and you won't have to deal with this elemental skill hits an opponent, reset, sort of shindig there. Now, you can do this one. It's easier to do if you have access to a Constellation, which is going to render the hold version of her skill and the press version of her skill to 4 seconds each. This makes it so you can just no brain, no life, throw it in there, have it all. You'll never not have 2 stacks of Pale Flame. Very easy to do there, especially in the Abyss. You go in there, you're running. Well, let's just show it. So in the Abyss, you start with full elemental energy gauge. Wonderful. Thank you so much, developers at miHoYo. And you just come in here, you E, you Q, which resets your E, and then you hold your E. Amazing. And then you're gonna get it back in 4 seconds, so it's gonna allow you to get that little bit of extra stack here on your elemental burst. And then this guy, he's gonna eat a dump truck of damage in the face, so that's very nice. You can just kind of no brain, no life, right? You E, hold E, press E, hold E, press E, press E, hold E, press E. It sounds like I'm making a children's rhyme, but really what I'm doing is summoning the power of the Raiden Shogun here to absolutely decimate this guy, and my burst is ready to go again because Raiden's pretty good, right, assassin dude? Hey, I saw that. Coming at me like that. So whether or not you want to have to deal with this sort of 2 stack attack percent bonus thing to get the max 50% physical damage, that is going to be up to you. If you don't have the Constellation 2, it's sometimes going to be a little bit irritating, so maybe go for 2 piece Bloodstain, 2 piece Pale Flame, but the best thing is going to be the whatever has the best substats for you there. Now let's talk about weapon selection here. Obviously, if you have the good old Wolf's Gravestone, it's going to be very strong for you there as well. Other one is the Unforged, especially if you're using her with a shielder like Diona or Zhongli. It's a very strong weapon there. If you are a battle pass buyer out there, Serpent Spine, fantastic weapon for you. It's going to be amazing. Now, some other weapons here. If you're not a BP spender, you want to talk about some of the other 4-star options. Snow Tomb Star Silver is a crafted weapon, as is the prototype Archaic Archaic Star Silver is going to give you physical damage up, whereas Archaic is going to give you attack percent. They're pretty equal as far as all things are concerned, considering you're wearing a Bloodstained Pale Flame, but they're pretty decent all the same. Now you also have access to Black Cliff Slasher, which is going to be the good old Star Glitter shop. Buy this thing, it's going to be fantastic for you. Crit damage on it, and then when you slay enemies, it's going to give you an attack percent buff up to 3 stacks. If you buy a bunch of these, R5 it, we're talking 72% attack buff, which is going to be amazing. Now there is one other weapon I really want to talk about here, and this is the Okumaru, which is going to be that new weapon that we saw. This is a new claymore. Got attack and then attack percent as the second stat, and then the ability is part of that new set of weapons that gives you elemental burst damage based on how expensive everyone in your party's elemental burst is. So Eula has a pretty expensive elemental burst paired with Raiden Shogun, very expensive. Maybe you have some other 80-ish costs elemental burst like Beidou floating around there as well. And at R1, this thing can give you 40% elemental burst damage. If you get a couple of these, maybe you get unlucky, who knows, you get 5 of these boys, you throw them all together, 80% elemental burst damage maximum at R5, which is going to be wild for big damage on your elemental burst with Eula there. Now, as far as constellations, we talked about C2 and how it's sort of a quality of life thing. Let's talk about some of the other ones, because it is a rerun banner. Maybe you like Eula a lot and you're like, I don't know if I want this one, should I get it? Who knows? So let's go over C1 here. So every time Ice Tide, Vortex, Grimheart stacks are consumed, which is what you do to get that big like 60, 70, 80, 90, 100k hit from consuming 2 stacks, you are going to get 30% increased physical damage for 6 seconds. If you consume multiple stacks, you can increase this by 6 per stack, all the way up to 18 seconds, which is wild. And you can have this in conjunction with C2 with a 4-second cooldown. Get a stack, consume 2. Get a stack, consume 2, and have permanent 30% physical damage. The E here as well, Glacial Illumination, is going to be the Q here with Lawrence Pedigree. That sounds like someone's name. Is going to get 3 more levels here, so that one could be good if you really want to get those high numbers, make that cool quality YouTube short video or TikTok, you know, throw it out there. Now your C4 is pretty wild here. It's going to bump up 2 different skill damages that you have. So Lightfall Swords deal 25% increased damage to opponents with less than 50% HP. It is both good because it's a 25% damage is a lot. It's also bad because, well, if they're under 50% HP, unless we get some big, like I said, raid boss boys, we call this King Overkill. So there's 2 different Lightfall Swords. One of them is attached to your Elemental Burst, which is the, you know, you activate your burst, you do a bunch of damage, it gets damage bonus stacks here up to however many, 30 stacks. This can get 25% bonus damage. However, you also have an Ascension here, which is good old Roiling Rhyme. When you consume 2 of your Grimheart stacks, you're also going to be doing damage and summon another Lightfall Sword that does 50% of the damage of your base Lightfall Sword. So it could be like a 400 and something percent multiplier at skill level 13. So this one will also count as a Lightfall Sword and get that 25% damage increase. Is it nice? Yes. Is it probably super overkill? 100%. Now the most overkill one is going to be Constellation 6. So this is the one where you see everyone doing 1.5 million, 2 million damage with Eula's Elemental Burst here. It gives you 5 extra stacks, which is big. And then using normal attacks, elemental skills, Elemental Burst, you have a 50% chance to get an additional Lightfall Sword stack. So this is the overkill of all overkill constellations of the game. It is so broken that it is useless, more or less, because by the time this bad boy goes off, the enemy's already dead, and you're like, wow, I could have killed him 4 times over, but he had 25% of his HP left. So you're gonna get 5 initial stacks, which is gonna be like a 900% multiplier right away, and you have a 50% shot to double the stacks whenever you attack somebody, and you're gonna be able to get 25 stacks of this thing and absolutely obliterate everything in Genshin Impact. So to kind of prove a point here on how needlessly excessive this is, we're gonna take our very nice kitted out character. Look at that wind glider, and then fly down on this guy's face here, make him very sad. Magu Kenki, the ingenious machine, the marionette swordmaster. You're a marionette for sure here. So we're gonna start this off. We're just gonna take him to his HP threshold, and then we're gonna sort of get in here and just beat him up here and drop a big sword on his face, because why wouldn't you? So we're just doing this damage. His HP locked. Bop, 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 bop. We didn't even crit. We didn't even crit, dude. We didn't even crit. What was that, like 300 and something K on a non-crit?